Greg, Dan, and Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
How are you finding it at the event today?
So far, so good. Yeah, meet some interesting people. Yep, good topics.
Yeah. You were talking about investment in the last round table. We were chatting off camera. What's your experience been? You guys must have had to convince people to invest in your product. What's that journey been like?
I think it's been a journey, right? I think anytime you are looking for investors and investors are looking for something to invest in, it's got to be a match. So you have to sift through the people that are interested and vice versa. And this has been a space that is really popular. Peloton really changed it, the way people think about connected fitness today. And that's been really good and bad from the standpoint that sometimes there's skepticism out there about a new product that might be a little bit different. And what we believe, what we're building is very different and very beneficial. But what we're also finding is we're getting connected with some great people who are opening up a lot of doors. So once you do find the investors that are good for a business, they can be a lot more valuable than just the capital.
How do you find talking to investors? Like, you guys are from the industry, from fitness background, and then you're bringing in a very new technology, which is what your product does, and then you're connecting that. It's a connected fitness product. So there's kind of three things that are just on their own, I guess, individual areas of speciality. How are you finding the investment market or industry to understand really what you guys are trying to do and where you're going?
Yeah, it's been challenging at times. Once people get on it, it's game over, as you experienced, right? Once you get on it, the machine speaks for itself. But the science behind it, we can validate it to a T. We built out an awesome science team to help back it up. But people still are, they need to see it to believe it sometimes because they don't understand it. It's education, but we are on a good path to do so. And eccentric science is becoming more popular now in the physical therapy spaces. Even on posts on LinkedIn now, I'm seeing more people talk about eccentric training, and with the in-home space, people are trying to find quicker ways to work out. Eccentrics allow you to do that.
Yeah, I know friends that are in the sports athletic industry have talked about eccentric training for quite some time, but it's certainly not hit the mainstream trainers and gyms, probably because of the technology to do that hasn't been there. So in terms of what you've developed, have you progressed the ability to effectively do eccentric training?
Yeah, we have Chris. So Chris ran one of the top sports performance centers in probably all of the Midwest, quite frankly, and working with high-end elite athletes. And why don't you tell them what you used to do for eccentric training?
Yeah, back in the day, everybody's been doing eccentric training for years. But back in the day, it would take 3 trainers. So if you're doing a bench press, you'd have to have a guy at each side adding weight and taking off weight while one guy presses it. So it really wasn't very efficient. So with this machine, it gives you the ability to actually do eccentric safely and efficiently, probably a third of the time.
The safety's the big thing. Like, if you look on it, you could go to YouTube and look up all sorts of gym fails, right? It's usually people trying to lift super heavy weight, trying to max out, and then they end up collapsing or things fall, right? And in the eccentric space especially, people have tried, but it gets super challenging, to his point. Where ours, it solves it, and the safety's there. Our engineers have done an awesome job the way this thing's designed with the smart technology and all the safety surrounding it. So you're allowed to just go all out for a short period of time and maximally lift eccentrically, which has never been done before.
Right. So would you say that you guys are creating a new strength training category that you're going to start seeing in gyms, in sports performance, in the home? Is that really what you're aiming to do?
That's the vision, for sure, and we believe that we can enable that. If you go into a typical gym, the machines that they're using for strength training, they've been around for a long time, and this is really ripe to be changed. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are looking for some type of different workout, and this really does that. The other thing is, I find people more than ever are time crunched, and this can be a very efficient way to get a really great workout in in just a fraction of the amount of time that it typically would take to do. So we think that you will see it in a lot of different places, from in someone's home to a major big box gym, to a specialized trainer and physical therapy and beyond.
So for those of you who don't understand or don't know what eccentric training is, or the benefit for it, give me a bit of an overview of what it is, and then why it would be beneficial for the average man and woman on the street.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
You can try. Chris, you want to, I mean, it's all it is in most cases, well, in all cases, I should say, it's that lowering phase of a movement. Like Chris talked about the bench press, right? So as I'm lowering it, right, that's the eccentric, or for those at home, that's the negative portion of the lift, which you're probably more familiar with. And all studies point to the way our bodies are designed. We're about 20 to up to 50% stronger during this lowering portion. And if you do this effectively and efficiently, as Chris tried to do back in his gym, there's a slew of benefits that come with it, from improving bone density to increasing flexibility, tendon strength, and then the most obvious ones are increasing muscle mass, muscle power, right, on the performance side. But it's just really hard to do. Because you get your muscles in this lengthened state, though, that's where you can handle more load. And then as you push up, that's then the concentric, right? So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of the eccentric, and there's a whole sliding filament theory and some pretty advanced science out there that you guys can all look at. But now it's pretty cool the way we're designed and the way our muscles work. You know, the fact that we can do this 50% more load eccentrically and lead all these benefits is pretty fascinating to me.
Right. And so in terms of someone like me that was just training for fitness, then the benefits of that would be that you can get those results from a hypertrophy perspective in a fraction of the time. Is that essentially?
Yeah, because you end up hitting that momentary muscular failure much quicker, which anybody in the field knows. Like, that's the goal. That's where you want to get to. That's when you're going to, achieve the hypertrophy and the increase in muscle mass, all that much quicker. If you can get to momentary muscular failure in a gym setting, it's going to take multiple sets, multiple reps. You got to be super careful with how you load because of the safety. And some people never even get there in a gym. Now, you're still going to get some results, but not to the point where not to the point where you can if you hit that momentary muscular failure.
Right.
We know that sends a signal to release how quickly you get there. It sends a signal to release growth hormone and all sorts of other things.
You said it really well, and I've heard the same from other individuals who have used our product. To do a movement in 5 reps where you're sore for 2 to 3 days says a lot, right? And that's what is the real benefit. So it can get very technical, but at the end of the day, it's just very efficient.
Right. So if you're watching on the video, we're going to probably show a few clips of what the machine looks like. But for those who are just getting the audio side, can you describe what this machine is and try and paint a sort of a picture in people's minds? What is it? What's the machine essentially look?
Sure. To picture, it's a platform, very thin, a couple inches thick, 6 feet by 3 feet. And then there's a wall that has a screen on that. So you're going to have workouts. People can take, you can select different workouts or select the movements that you want, have a trainer or not have a trainer. But it's very sleek looking. And then there's basically 2 cables there coming from the platform that allow you to do a lot of different movements, for basically all your different muscle groups.
So it's essentially a cable machine where you can do a lot of your popular movements, but just with this eccentric type of loading on it. I was quite impressed with it. If I had one, are they expensive? Or maybe you're not discussing the price yet. It was one of those things I'd love to have one because it was just, it was very easy, didn't take up a lot of space, but you can really...
For what it does, it's actually not that expensive. Owning sports performance gyms, our average strength machine with tech was about $15,000 to $20,000. So this machine will be a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, our goal is to make this so that people can bring it inside their home. There's a lot of technology that we're building in that resides within the software, within the screen, and eventually we'll make it very wide so that it's at a price point that basically fits anybody and everybody. Initially, it's going to be call it plus or minus $5,000 for the in-home version.
And the connected element to it, what's that allowed the machine? Because it sounds like it's pretty cool on its own if it just did that. But what's the connected element allow you to do with it that you couldn't if it was a regular machine?
That's a great question. One, there's going to be a lot of data that's going to be tracked, which you can compare against yourself, obviously, compared to others. We think about how do you make this successful based upon what has been proven, and we think about how it's not uncommon that people work out in groups, friend groups or whatever the case may be. So we're going to incorporate that in. It's not uncommon that people work out with an individual trainer. So we're actually going to embrace the training population where they can deliver that training either in a live environment or in an environment whereby that trainer has already established the workout that they want you to do. Which allows that to be very connected. So between groups and data and the way the training population can embrace this, it really brings a lot of different aspects to it. The other piece that we're going to be migrating into is as it advances beyond a strength training and fitness machine, we will weave in AI motion vision capture to really turn this more into a health machine. And our vision longer term is ultimately to make this so that you can prolong how people can play sports, avoid injuries, whether it's sports or just avoiding injuries. I use the example often that my father's got to get 2 knee replacements, a hip replacement. We believe a lot of this could have been avoided with proper training and engaging muscles, leveraging our different types of movements that we have, but also the science behind it.
Yeah, I was chatting to a guy earlier who's in this computer vision space, which I didn't really understand too much about, but the way he was explaining it is you can, what a trainer probably can't do as accurately as this machine vision can, is study thousands and thousands and thousands of movements and predict that if somebody's kind of doing something in that particular way, then there's a risk that at some point they're going to create an injury and that they can stop them before they do that and tell them how to potentially prevent it, which I guess a very skilled trainer can do that over many, many years, but I suppose your regular person can't spot whether that is going to create a problem.
Yeah, and we're to the point where we want to get it. This is why we've surrounded ourselves with some of the best people in the industry, from MBA, strength conditioning coaches, to MLB, to elite physical therapists, where our machine will be able to pick up where you're weak, where you're strong, type of thing, right? And then we'll have a science team working with our AI vision motion capture team to then build out a program based off of that feedback. So to Greg's dad, to his father's point, like, your right knee is weak, it's stemming from, low back or so-and-so, a right shin, and here's a program to go work on to correct it.
To put it simplistically, we believe we can be the prescription.
Yeah. So not just about your product then, but do you guys see that the future of fitness equipment is going to be a lot more, is connected, and it's going to have a lot of these functions where rather than it just being like an analog machine where you go up and lift weights, that it's going to be normal to see this happening?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. Everything from the diagnostic piece to the data analytic piece, it's going to really, based on the data, we're going to be able to program better for the athlete, for the everyday person, and hit certain areas that are weak, certain areas that are maybe injured. So the more data we have, the better any strength coach or personal trainer can program from there.
My son went down had a college visit, and we met with the football coaches and the strength training coaches. And what was very apparent to me is how much data the strength and conditioning coach used to take a look at the program holistically by different cohort, different different positions that the players played, and they were benchmarking different ways that they were building strength and avoiding injuries. I think this is only going to become more prevalent because the way they do this today is very manual, right? And there's a lot of technology out there that can make that a lot easier for someone in that role.
Right. Well, look, thanks very much for your time. Your website, speedfit.com, is that right?
Speed.fit.
www.speed.fit. Check us out on Instagram too, and we're starting to get more active on LinkedIn and TikTok, and Twitter's coming next. But speed.fit.
Speed with an E.
Speed with an E.
Speed with an E.
And we'll put some links in it.
Eccentric.
E for
Okay,
eccentric.
I like it. Excellent. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
For having us.
All right,
Thanks,
cheers.
Matty.
Thanks. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.